You take a nap now.
1:30 is when I
Yeah.
Oh, mine switched
Don't
now.
wait for
Is the owl flying?
The world can now see us.
Good deal. Okay, it's time for us to convene as a Board of Equalization for June 28th, 2022, and we will have protest hearings today. Roll call, please.
Rhodes,
Present.
Holgren,
Present.
Bondsberger,
Present.
Sykes,
Present.
Overmyer.
Present. Open meetings law is posted on the south side of our chambers. It is on our website, it is also on the wall in the hallway outside of our chambers. Proof of publication was on our website. It was also in the News Times June 18th. We need to review and approve the minutes of the June 14th Board of Equalization meeting.
So move. Second.
Thank you, guys. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Sykes,
Yes.
Bondsberger,
Yes.
Holgren.
Yes.
Overmyer.
Yes. We need to adopt today's agenda.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Bill.
Second.
Thank you, Jack. Any discussion? Roll call.
Bondsberger,
Yes.
Sykes,
Yes.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Holgren.
Yes.
Overmyer.
Yes. Okay, today, as I said, we are holding property protests for their valuation. Even though this does not talk about taxes, they're directly related to taxes, we are talking about valuations today. So as we for those that are here, we come up, we'll swear you in, we'll let Ann go through her part, we'll let you go through your part, and then we will go from there. So the first one, I believe we have in front of us, is for, protest number 1 is for Troy Ellison, the property at 708 North Platte Avenue.
And he did not know where he would be today, so I said I would go through it with you.
Thank you.
And this is a storage building on, at 708 North Platte Avenue. He uses it for warehouse and also equipment storage for his contracting business. His main objection to the value is that the contamination designation for this area only permits certain use of the property. And he felt that the contamination designation would hinder the sale of his property. I've not had any property sell in that area for a long time, and I do know that EPA is still working on the contamination problem in the city. So that was his reason for the protest. He would like to have the value returned to the value that it was previously at $48,962.
And do you have a recommendation?
Well, the information that he gave is correct, but I still feel the building has value. He uses it, he's put in 2 garage doors, one in the front, one on the side, and he does use it for his equipment storage. Otherwise, he'd have to take it all out to the country where he lives.
Go ahead.
Does he have anything in writing as far as what the EPA said?
No, and I tried to find some myself. I just have the letter that comes to me when they're going to come and test the air in my basement again. And they put air in a plastic bag and then they take it back to check it. But that's the only thing that I have. And I tried to get a hold of a realtor to see if there was anything on file as far as selling it, and they did not have anything. And like I said, I've not had anything sell in that area for a long time. Except Congregational Church just now sold. So, but we don't know what he's going to use that one for, what he's going to use it for. So for now,
Because I feel like anyone could say, well, they told me this, so, but, you know, unless we have documentation stating that, I don't know.
he didn't give me any. He
Not
didn't-
saying he was not telling the truth, I'm just saying,
Yeah, right.
we need to have something in black and white on that probably.
The only thing I can remember is in the newspaper, it put down the track of the 3 different plumes underneath the city. One of them being north of town and the other 2 coming through, which go all the way across from that area out past my house. And there were a lot of houses out in that area, not a lot, but there were some houses out in that area that were put on city water due to those plumes, so that's kind of proof, I would think, that the,
Well, we all
value
know
might
the plume
change.
is there, but whether it is.
would affect the value.
Yes. I have no proof that it would because I haven't got any sales.
Mhm.
And the no sales could be from anything.
Yes.
It isn't necessarily related to
Yeah,
this
right.
plume here. So,
Well, that spot is the hot spot. That's where
That's correct.
it originated at. And, so,
Are you recommending leave it the same?
Well, it's been this value for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. This 48, it's been that for 6 years.
The Congregational church that you were talking about, we just sold, is on the other side of the street,
That's correct.
pretty much.
Yes, it is.
this is commercial.
This is commercial.
What would the Congregational church be?
I have no idea what he's gonna, he hasn't
Depends
told
on
me
what he's
yet.
doing it with it.
I don't know if Mr. Piper bought the building and I don't know if he's gonna, I don't know what he's gonna do with it.
Okay.
Maybe he's gonna make a Klaus in it.
A what? A house?
A Klaus like they did up in Benedict.
Yes, well, and that could be, I mean, who knows what
Who
he's
knows?
gonna do.
on this particular one that we're talking about, as Troy had contacted me too, and he was talking about some of the remediation they want to do about heat. You know, I don't know if you paid attention, but a lot of the buildings downtown, one next to us, any building's got a basement, has got the fans blowing all the time.
Mhm.
So they've been doing that, but he was talking about a heat that they're gonna do.
He didn't say anything to me about that.
If we was to move this one to our, because we're gonna have another protest hearing, right, the 12th?
Yes,
And if he could produce some paperwork
all right.
by then, I mean, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable about it, I guess, if everybody feels okay in
Okay,
doing
we
it
can
that
table
line.
it then until next week.
Yeah, we can, and set it aside for that. And if he can come up with it, great.
Yeah.
I know that the south half of that building, I don't think anything has took
No,
place in
it's
there
not
now
that
for our.
Mr. Kreifels hasn't
Kreifels.
done anything with that either.
And did the valuation change come about by Mr. Stoddard going through and
Yeah.
doing all the commercial? Okay. Okay, on that one there then, do we entertain a motion to postpone till the July 12th protest hearing?
So move.
Thank you, Kurt.
Second?
Thank you, Daniel. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Holden,
Yes.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Oliver,
Yes.
Sykes,
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes. Okay, we do have some times on these. We're a little bit early. Are you Mr. and Mrs. Lehman?
We are.
Okay. I mean, if you want to come forward, you know, as you heard the process, we'll ask if you need another chair up there, we can sure grab you another chair too, so you can both have room. If we could just get your names, just spoken in for the record. We have your address obviously here, and then we'll let Ann give her,
Okay.
you can give yours, if that
Okay.
sounds all right.
You gonna raise your right hand?
Okay.
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Diane Lehman with two N's, D-I-A-N-N-E, L-A-H-M-A-N. Okay,
And I'm Lenny Lehman, L-E-N-N-I-E. Middle initial is E.
Thank you. Ann,
Okay, this property is located at 12 Arbor Court. It's an older home, but it's been totally remodeled and updated. And you can see from the evidence that Lehman's presented of the updates that have been done to the home. It was advertised for sale at $175,
275.
$275, and they purchased the home for $275.
Okay.
that everything?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at some of the pictures.
That's right.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I only made one extra folder. I thought there was just gonna be one person here, so.
Oh, I wouldn't be any fun.
So I do have copies of everything I'm gonna talk about, and I also have a set of pictures of the
Okay.
inside of the house, if you'd like to look at it. So, we just feel the increase of our dwelling is a lot for the house. It was built in 1955. It's an older home, and at the time we purchased it, prices were high. And, the amount of houses in York were very few, and for what we were looking for. And so that is why we purchased the house. It had the things we wanted. It had a plus with a 0 entry because my husband's disabled. It was ready to move in. It had a double garage, and it had a basement. The basement is not finished. It's only a partial basement that they built on later. It's kind of in an L shape. It just has the cinder block walls and painted floor. So we just have our main floor that is finished. We looked at several properties before we purchased this one, but it always happened that we made an appointment to see them, and Susie would call and say, oh, we got an offer, and the owner accepted it, and so we didn't even get to look at it. So I did pull up some of those, and they are in this folder. And when I talked to Ms. Carlton earlier, she said that the Nebraska has a new law on the assessing that it is the appraised value of the property now that we are taxed on. And so I always thought assessing was different than appraisal. And so that is another issue that we have. And we feel that ours was increased quite a bit more than others. And so we had looked at a house on Duke Drive, which is not very far from where we are. We're up by the high school. And it's right next to the water tower. And the dwelling was at 113,809. And now it's at 128 for the total value. But that property sold for $180,000. And ours has increased, our value of our home increased by $156,348. So that was one dwelling that's very close to us. Another one was on Fairview Drive, which is down kind of by the Eastridge area. And it was a smaller home, and again, it had been totally redone. Somebody had turned the house around, and that dwelling was at $158,126. It had gone up $3,000, and it sold for $170,000. So again, a little difference there. And then the other one was a brand new house, pretty much. It was built in 2018. It's on Cowan Drive or Avenue out by the Country Club golf course. And it had 3 garages. It had full upstairs done. Downstairs was finished, 2 decks. And it had gone from $294,621 on the dwelling to $300,513. And it sold for the 3, oops, it's on the next page, I believe. Sorry. Yeah, for $310,000. So there's a $10,000 difference there. So, but it's a new home. And all of the other ones, again, too, the one on Duke Drive was built in 1978, and the one on Fairview Drive, I think was about the same as our house, was in 56. So those were just some properties that we looked at and lost out on because they sold before we got them.
Yeah, I see that.
Sure, actually, you can have this folder
Thank
here.
you.
Okay, like I said, I thought there was only
No,
one other
that's all right.
person.
I told her she could do it fine.
I was a teacher, so, yeah. Okay.
No.
live with one too.
Then I looked at other comps that are close to our house. And there's one at 8 Arbor Court, which is right on 14th Street. Its dwelling value is $140,619, and it went up $3,000 from $137,862. But it is a house that has about the same square footage of ours. It's all brick. It has a fire, no, that one doesn't have a fireplace, sorry. And it was built in 1958, so pretty close to ours. But again, if we're looking at appraised value, that home is way undervalued as what it should probably be taxed, if that's what Nebraska has changed to. Blackburn is right behind us, 1419. Its current value is $157,489. It went up $3,000. But it sold in 2013 for $172,500. And that's the one that has the brick fireplace. It's an old brick home, full basement, and it just kind of, I don't know, ours isn't even a brick home. Ours isn't a brick home. We don't have a fireplace. Then I have one on Eastridge Avenue. I just know that sold because the lady bought some furniture from us, and its dwelling value is $251,321, and it was $246,000. They sold it in February for $330,000. So there's a difference of what? You're the math at $80,000 there that they're not. They weren't raised either. 2180 square feet. Ours is 2,000, built in 1977. It's all brick, and again, it has a fireplace. And my last one. A friend of mine's uncle used to live in this house, Holly Miller, you probably know, on Har Lane, and that dwelling is 245,096. And it went up about $20,000 from 21 to 22, and it last sold in 2018 for $240,000. So again, different values. It again has about the same square footage, a little more, built in 1985, and it's all brick, and again, it has a fireplace. So I guess we just see that there's a lot of difference. If Nebraska is changing this, then everybody, I mean, if everybody's just going up $3,000 a year or $2,000 a year, it's going to take a long time for them to get up to their value, their appraised value, if that's what they're doing. And you had mentioned that that was something that they went to, is that correct?
The valuation is determined by market value, and we do assessment, we don't do appraisals.
Right. But but in order to get that sale,
Yeah, we do
that is,
comparables.
yes, that is from usually an appraisal you have. But we live.
No, we don't
No,
ever
I-
get appraisals.
Right, but I mean, your price that you sell it
Yeah.
for, you get your home appraised for, and that's how you come up with your sale price.
Well, that may be how you come up with it, but that's not what I use.
Right,
Okay.
that's what I'm
Right.
saying. The assessment is different than the appraisal or the market value. We've lived in several counties. We've lived in Gage County, we've lived in Lancaster County, and Saline County. And we just sold my mother's house in Gage County in March. And it was valued at $147,540 for the improvements. They call it improvements, but it's the dwelling. We sold it for $225,000. But their new value is, let me find it. Oh, that's the 22, I'm sorry, is $147,540. So Gage County's not doing it because it was at $131. So It was valued at $112,890, and it sold for $195,000. And so, their total tax is $127, but I mean, the dwelling is, if that's the value of 195, they're not going with the Nebraska,
That would be
rule.
a question for Gage County.
Right.
You know, obviously, we can't compare what happens in different counties to what happens in York
But
County.
the same way with
Well, I think we looked at it as if it's a state law, they should be, you
doing
know,
it
the
everywhere.
different counties it should be all in check.
Yeah, I think
As far as-
your assessors are still, they have a little bit of freedom
Mhm.
to do certain things. I think they're guarded by state statute to be in an area. And of course, you know, as Ann said, the places are valued by what they're sold for. And then we try to come up with a fair assessment of that.
The sale price puts it in a category.
Right.
And then we put those categories into a comparable file. And sometimes the values that properties are sold for is not the value that we are aware of the property being. Sometimes properties are remodeled, updated. Lots of things are done to a house without any building permit. And we don't catch then that increase of value until it's sold, and then we investigate. So sometimes we're a year, maybe 2 years behind in the valuation process because of that.
So when we talk about land, and, you know, I know you've said in the past, you come up with an idea when we're selling farm ground, you throw out the high, the low.
Yeah, you
Does the
use
same thing happen with
median
houses?
value. You use not the average, but the house that's in the middle, or the farm ground that's in the middle. But still, we're always at least 2 years behind.
Okay. Okay,
But-
you are
I don't know when
asking,
those sales were that you had.
They were all
21,
21 or early 22 is what I looked at. And I guess the improvements in our house, it's nothing fancy, it was done, and that's one thing we wanted. I mean, the woodwork is the same woodwork, but it's painted. It's a
Plaster.
slab is a
It's
plaster walls,
Yeah.
it
I mean,
has,
It's been painted over plaster. I found that out when I tried to hang stuff.
Yeah.
But
It started crumbling.
concrete floor because it's a slab house, and they put in vinyl plank floors, so we don't have wood floors. The kitchen they simply opened up by removing two, in the entry, there was like a shelving, you know, that kind of made a division as you walked in. And then there was, I believe, a hutch on the other end that they took out. But they didn't add any space, they simply updated the bathroom fixtures, painted. They did put in new windows throughout the house. A new roof was put on because of the ice storm, after the ice storm. But I can't think of anything else. But it's just, we just feel that's quite an increase. And we're being punished because we bought when
Yeah, it's-
it was one of those times that the market was high and the number of houses were short.
The problem I see is, and I know I'm not supposed to talk, but I'm going to talk, is when we were looking at houses here, by the time we would get home, we lived in Atkinson at the time, and by the time we would get home, those houses were, what was the word,
They had an offer,
well, it's not that, it's,
but they were
Under
more or less
contract or?
under
Yeah,
contract.
yeah. And this one, when we came down to look at it, somebody had looked at it already that morning.
And somebody was waiting outside.
Thank you, dear. Yes, and while we were looking at it, somebody else drove up to look at it. We looked at the house, like I said, there's no steps into the house, which helps me tremendously. We had to have a basement for her because of the storms. The house was not, we've looked at a lot of houses. It wasn't anything, you know, spectacular. Like I said, it wasn't new. It's stuff done over. It's very nice, don't get me wrong, but it's paint. same doors are there, but they're painted, you know, it's not like going through the whole house and, you know,
Like we have oak floors and oak woodwork
yeah,
and
you
oak
know,
cabinets.
this type of thing, you know? And it just,
It's updated.
when I said we're gonna buy it, I figured we better buy it or else we're not gonna get it. And we wanted to move here. And the thing is I just knew if we did not tell that realtor we wanted that house, it was gonna be gone by the time we got home. And it's just exactly what we wanted. And it's not fancy. The thing is, it's $156,000 difference. Just seems terrible to me. I mean, it just isn't apples and oranges. I'm sorry. You know, that's the best way I can explain it. It's, okay, how'd I do here?
So what you're asking, your requested value is 200,000,
Yes.
which you're saying that prior to you purchasing the home, it was valued at 100,000?
It
You're
was
saying
100
It
and,
was sold for,
it was a 101,363.
Okay,
But we didn't want to go too low. But we figured if that's at least a place to start, you
we
know.
want to be fair, you know, too, but this just seemed like, I didn't buy a house to more or less pay taxes on the selling I mean, I don't know how that works.
can I ask you a question?
Yes,
When you are in that realtor, are you warned that this could happen? That when you buy the house for a certain amount of money, you are setting value on it? Or are you warned about that at all? Because that's actually what we do when we spend that much money on houses. We're resetting the value. Just like if you would have got a steal of a deal for 50,000, you could have come in and said, well, I paid 50,000 for it. I didn't pay 100, I paid 50, and you would have a legitimate argument. But are you warned by the realtor that this could happen? Because I know that I've seen those sheets where it shows last year's taxes,
Right.
but it shows last year's taxes at what it was valued at, not at the new number that you're, by purchasing it, you're changing it to. So,
I
You-
don't remember, I
Okay.
mean, but
But again, you have your land in there too with the assessment, but just the house, you know, we figured it had new appliances, but that's not the dwelling. You know, we had, the new, what else was I gonna say? All of the improvements, you know, yes, makes it more valuable, but, the appliances were new, the furnace was new, the air conditioner, no, the hot water heater. So you're figuring, you know, those aren't gonna break down for a while, but those aren't the dwelling. So part of that price that we paid was also, they're not gonna give that away, they wanna make a profit on what
Right,
they did.
right.
And, everything in that house doesn't stay with the house if we ever leave.
Obviously, the air conditioner and the furnace.
Well, yeah, but
Obviously
I
stay
mean,
with
we
it.
may have to replace that, but that's just normal wear and tear
Right.
with a home. So,
And is that, I mean, a legitimate argument there where if they are buying a move-in ready house with appliances and stuff that are part of that, can those numbers be backed out of there?
They would have to have taken it out of the sale price when they registered the sale with the county clerk. That would have to be listed as personal property and it would be removed from the sale price.
Okay.
Same way as you bought a farm and it was a pivot, you could take the pivot off and that would be
Right.
the difference.
Right. And that obviously wasn't done.
And I understand what she's saying about the market being as it
Right.
is. And I brought that up with the Department of Revenue several times, and they say they can't help what the market is doing now, the market is the market. And that's what the law states, that property shall be valued at market value.
And this isn't the first time we've seen this. In
No.
the last several years,
No.
we've seen it. Go ahead, Daniel.
I was just, did you, have an appraisal done when you purchased the house?
we did not.
No.
We did not.
And, excuse me, a minute, you grade the houses in a certain grading,
Yes.
don't you?
Mhm.
1, 2, and 3, or
Yes,
whatever. And the higher the grade, the higher
That's correct,
the tax rating is,
yes, right.
correct? And this house is obviously been fixed up, so it's
This house
probably
has
up in the
been-
upper level.
What, in this case, the lifespan of the home has been increased because of
Right.
the updates done on the inside. The new windows, the new furnace, the new hot water heater, yes, all those things would increase the lifespan of the house, the new roof. Of course, the roof, I have to put a new roof, that's
So
not
have I.
an increase.
And the windows brass
Yeah,
have to be redone for us too, so.
And I hate to be the hard one here, but you know, it's a willing buyer and a willing seller. The market is what the market is, and there's anything that any of us can do about it. And I know that we're behind in the appraisal practices. But you know, it just takes a amount of time, and you only have so much time to get this work done. And I'm sorry, that's just the way it is.
With all due respect, how long is it gonna take you to get this
Well, you
up
know.
to snuff?
By law, we are required to inspect every property once every 6 years. I try to keep it on a 4-year span because 6 years is too far between a property selling and buying and valuation. But we are truly 2 years behind.
Well, and just one thing I remember when we lived in Saline County, they were having the same issue, that houses weren't up. And so 1 year, they just had to do it across the
Yeah, they've
board.
done it again. This year, they went up 35%.
Like to 90-some% of its market value. So I guess I just don't see that that's even, will we pay another 3,000 like everybody else next year?
That all depends on what the market is, and I hate to say that, but everything is determined by the market.
You know, the thing is where we live and the houses across the street, you know, they're modest homes.
Yes.
And then here ours is $350,000. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it does not make sense.
Nothing makes sense in the market today.
Do you guys,
Okay.
do you have any more to add
I don't think so.
to that, other than what you presented? You gave
And
her
like I
some
said, I
copies.
can leave that
Yes, I would
with you
appreciate that. I'd
guys
like
to
to
look
look at
at.
it.
and-
Okay. Do you have anything else to add? Okay, your recommendation is,
Well, in this case, it was advertised for that, it was purchased for that. Evidently, that is the market value. I'm sure that the sellers had an appraisal done, but I wouldn't know because I was never presented one.
okay, so that would be the 257,
Yes.
711 would be your recommendation. Okay,
Well, the total value
I'm
is
sorry.
271,191 with the land.
okay.
She
I
says-
was looking at the sheet
She
they
has-
filled
And
out.
she's
They-
been correct, she's been talking about values of the improvement, which is the house,
There we
and
go.
I understood that, yeah,
271.91.
yes.
Okay. And obviously, this Board of Equalization will make the decision. You are not, if you don't agree with that decision, that isn't the end for you. And would have the contact number for TIRC, tax increment.
Tax equalization review.
There you go. I was going TIF, wasn't I? So it's TIRC, I know that part of it. And you are more than willing,
It's just a higher step
Yeah.
up.
you're more than willing
Okay.
to file that way too.
Okay,
Okay, gentlemen?
I guess I just was on the GIS and just looking around the neighborhood, Arbor Court neighborhood there, and they're correct. Their neighbors all increased about $2,000 to $3,000.
That could be that
Why does-
2% increase that was mandated,
Sure. So why wouldn't their sale affect that whole neighborhood?
because their home would not be the same as, that would not be comparable.
Okay,
Of course, now it could be, and I don't know that
because they didn't get a building permit,
because they
or
didn't get a building permit to do the updates.
you don't know if
And
there's
so then I
custom.
would
yeah.
not know that they were. And that's the downfall of not being able to go inside the homes.
Mhm.
Because we're finding that all the time, and it's not just in the city of York, it's everywhere. When a property sells for a lot more than what I have it assessed. I always call to make sure that I haven't missed something or something hasn't been changed that I didn't know about.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Well, that sticker shock, when it jumps up that high, really hits you. I know,
Well,
a few years ago, my property listed for like $21,000 for the lot. And then the next year it was 43,000. So I know exactly what you're saying. But that's the way the market runs, and that's what the value is. Just to the east of me is a new development, and I guarantee you those houses over there are probably worth a whole lot more than mine. So, but every time they sell one of those houses, value of mine goes up, whether I like it or not. So, I guess I have to fall in line with everybody else here. Doesn't make you happy.
Well, I think if we choose to lower it, I would like to think that we have a reason to lower it.
Not just the value of the properties around them.
Right, I think we have to have a reason because we need to be fair and biased to everybody.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, they've done their due diligence, they did their homework, they come and presented very, very well. The one thing that strikes against you is the unfortunate situation you found yourself in of needing and wanting a house and then paying, that type of price for it. So that's where I see it. So.
Would it be, you brought information that we all didn't get to see. Would it be fair to postpone action on this till we can all
Okay.
at least put our eyes on what she put together there and then make a determination in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Would that be okay?
It would be fine with me. I would like to study them myself, but I'm going to tell you right now that it's probably not going to make a difference because this is the first description of a sale. Willing buyer, willing seller. And that's what we had here. We had a willing seller and a willing buyer. And they paid what they were asking for the house.
So there's not usually those willing and willing? Is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry?
What you're saying is there's usually not a willing and willing sale?
Well, sometimes
Is that
there
what-
is, well, yeah, a willing seller. You wouldn't buy something unless you were willing to buy, wanting to buy it.
Well, why are all these houses just boom like that? They're sold before we get home.
I know they are.
Now, is that willing and willing?
Yes, that's willing and willing.
I don't think it's that way. Unfortunately, the interest rates, I think, have changed
Yeah.
that just a little bit now. Yeah.
Well, and we just didn't want a bidding war either, because we knew that it was gonna go. And so if we didn't pay that price, we were gonna have to fight for the house, and it might even go higher, and, so we just said we'd buy it, so. And
Now,
there
we're
was,
just trying to be, civil as we can. I mean, we want to live here, but with the house, I guess it just hasn't started off.
and there was a house on the other end of our little horseshoe, I think it's number 2 Harbor Court, that another realtor flipped and sold, but again, theirs isn't as, the big difference in price, or difference in the dwelling price. But I just think, Arbor Court, excuse me, used to be a very nice neighborhood. That's what I had heard, that and Arbor Heights. And I think these people are trying to help keep that neighborhood a nice neighborhood that people want to live in, that you don't have rentals, that you don't have people moving in house, into houses that are undervalued, that kind of thing. So I guess that's my point too, is we want to keep the neighborhood nice, so I guess we paid the price.
Okay.
And the number 2 Arbor Court, it did go up in value, the dwelling value went up 140,000, so, compared to 21's. I would assume that was probably due to a sale on
Yes.
that one.
We
Okay.
sold it.
And update. A lot of update.
Guys, it doesn't matter to me. If you want to postpone it till the July 12th, we can. Otherwise, I don't know if there's any new information.
Huh?
You don't think it'll make a difference, Ann?
Beg pardon?
You don't see any difference even?
I would need to look at these. There may be an extenuating circumstance to explain why the value hasn't been increased, but there's no possible way that I can keep up with the values that are going on right now. There's going to be some that are going to be too low, some going to be too high. I've had some too high. There's just no way I can keep up with them. I do the best I can.
Mr. Chairman,
Daniel?
just you've touched on this already, but would a generalization of the law in Nebraska would be that residential homes are to be valued at 100% of market value?
They can be anywhere from 97 to 105.
Okay, yeah, of market value.
Right.
And so does each county then have,
Every county is supposed to follow that guideline.
so they should be doing that?
Yes.
And if they choose not to, then are
But
they
they can be like
penalized?
me, they can be behind, they can be, the
Mhm.
time frame is really tough to keep up with.
Right.
Especially if you have a whole lot of properties to take care of.
Well, sure.
And I think that then the law is wrote in a way that then you can come to the, if you disagree, you can come to the
That's-
Board of
that-
Equalization,
that's
and then
right.
if, again, like Mr. Chairman shared,
Yep.
if you don't agree with the decision of this board, there is yet another avenue to take it higher.
Yeah.
And so, I think it would be wise on this one to postpone, give some time to review, and allow Ann to look at that,
That'd be
let
fine.
us take a look at it, and I would make that motion.
Thank you, Daniel.
Second.
Thank you, Kurt. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Holgren,
Yes.
Swansburger,
Yes.
Sykes,
Yes.
and Wolfman.
Yes. Okay, we will be in touch to let you
And I'll
know
look at all of these.
when the time is, the 12th.
Okay.
It may be in the morning, it may
Because I
be
actually
in the
went to
afternoon, we're not sure yet when we're gonna schedule
And
this.
it's the same thing.
Okay.
Well, that's fine.
We
But I
appreciate
mean,
your
I
time.
take my copies. Oh, okay.
Good day.
Run through the copy.
Okay.
We like the community if that's what
Okay,
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
I seen Luann
Thank you.
walk by out there. She's not in here, I'd seen her walk by out there, she's probably sitting,
Like
Well, she's a
BIECK.
Luann Beek,
Jan Nelson's daughter.
huh?
batter.
Very unprepared compared to this gal.
Hi.
Maybe she could come and help me.
Well, she's a school teacher.
Do you want me to sit here,
Sure,
up
just
here? Well, I should have brought a school teacher then. Anyway, I thought I would come and speak my piece anyway.
Okay, Luann, what we're gonna do is Kelly, the clerk will swear you in.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And we'll give her a spiel, we'll let you counter
All
with
right.
yours.
Luann has a property that she inherited from her dad that is a rental property and has been a rental property for a considerable amount of time. It belonged to Rowena Batterton, and it's a 1.5-story home. Now, it's been assessed as a 1.5-story home, but
Are
Luann
they
says
buying the top?
the second level.
There's no second.
Yeah, see, and that's
There's
something
never
that we
been
are
a-
unaware, we can make that change.
Yeah, there's never been a second level. I always
But it
wanted
has-
to make
I
one,
looked
but
back
I,
in the file and it's been assessed as a story
probably
and a half.
because it's
Back
tall,
to
it looks like it
1993.
could have one.
There were some pictures submitted, and you have some, they have been selling the properties off. They have a list of the properties that have been sold.
I kind of.
Now, I would like
Just in
to know
color.
on this property what the rent is for this house.
My kid's dad is living there right now, so he's paying what he can pay,
Okay.
300.
But any other time it would be,
We were charging 500.
okay.
We were, Mom and Les were way behind because they were in their 80s.
Somebody
They
else
were-
is behind besides me, okay.
They were trying to keep a good deal, but here's the houses that we sold.
Yeah.
And here's the 2 bedrooms and the ones with the garages,
Yeah,
and
right.
this is what we sold for
And
them.
you all have a copy of that with the information that I gave you, correct?
Do they want
And
to
they have
know
pictures too, they
which
have all of that.
ones? I didn't have this written on
That's
it.
fine.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So, by changing the house from a 1.5 story to a 1 story, that brings the valuation down to 56,514
The building
from the
itself.
69,743.
And then all the years it was the valuation, but then because, like if, say my parents had bought it back in the 80s, does that keep them low when they don't change? I mean, did it go up because it changed hands to me? No?
No, no.
Oh, I
It
didn't
just
know.
went up. Rental properties are being sold right and left in the city of York.
But like I
And
said,
This is a value of $68,000 to $69,000. Rental properties
this
of
is-
any quality or condition. Yes.
This is what we got though. We got for a lot of the 2 bedrooms with and without garages and this and that, mostly in the 30,000,
Yeah, no,
30
but we're
some.
looking at sizes here too, so.
Well, that's close to what mine is. I mean, this, let's see, 1101 Greenwood, that's a 2 bedroom, 2 car garage, and that one was sold at 36.5. So, I mean, we sold a lot of them were,
Yeah, what did you say that, John?
If the value is corrected to
It's
a
on the front
1-story
sheet.
home rather than a 1.5 story,
Oh, okay,
the value would be 56,514.
okay, sorry.
Do you have anything else to add, Ann? Go ahead.
Is there a difference in the value? I mean, it's still classified as residential, right? Is there a difference in the value if it's rented versus the owner occupying it?
A rental property is usually,
Do you use an income approach then on that, or?
no,
No.
not for residential property, you do not use the income
Okay.
approach.
That's just-
Residential property is determined by market value, same as everything else.
Okay.
Uh,
You just use the
There
rental as a
is a
comparison?
condition that might be considered part of a rental property over in home, on the property owned by the person living in the house.
well, and part of it is, I lived in it for 40 years. A lot of the stuff there is still mine. This is my kid's dad, Terry, who lives there, and, he's been there, he lived in the basement, married and divorced twice, but still watching out for him. I just want to try to keep things low so I can help him. I'm not trying to do anything that shouldn't be. I just am trying to keep things low so I can keep a roof over his head. Or low as I can.
Okay, Ann, is there any questions for Ann right now? Luann, do you have anything to add to what we're seeing in your protest? You're asking for 42,261 is what I see
Right.
by your protest.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what it was to begin with, correct? I just didn't know how that worked, if because it had changed
No,
hands
no.
that it went up, or, but we have not been able to, now we'll be doing a new roof and new paint, and I fixed a couple windows, and,
I did submit 3 comparables for you to look at, properties that are rentals that have been sold. There's the one properties at Lot 4, Block 15, which is 1007 North Nebraska Avenue. It sold for 57. The Lot 8, Block 64, which is 425 West 5th, sold for 53. And these were all purchased by people who do rent properties. I mean, they bought them for rentals. And then we have the little house at 86 South Grant that sold for $55,000. So It seems to be about in that range for a one-story home
But what,
that's going to be sold for a rental
but
property.
what ours, most, well, I shouldn't say, a lot of ours were sold to single families, I think. There were a few that were bought by people that are gonna have rentals, but still, I go back to what those sold for, 30, 32, 31, 36, 31, I mean,
I know. You can
Those
find
are-
comparables all over for any amount.
right. So I'll choose the lower one.
Well, in today's world, Luann, those look like pretty reasonable prices that
Well,
you
they
sold,
were. They were.
sold those other houses.
They
for,
were, yeah.
No doubt.
But that's what they sold for, so.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
based on the recommendation of the assessor, I go ahead and make a motion that go with the 6480 for the land and the 50,034 for the house for a total of 56,514.
Roll call, please.
Baumsberger,
Yes.
Holgren,
Yes.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
And Omenauer.
Yes. Luann, as the last one we informed too, if you're not satisfied with the decision, you can visit with Ann a little bit more, and she can get you the information for a turf claim if you want to take it
Okay.
to the state level too. So the value right now of your place would be set at 56,514.
There's an air conditioner unit outside, is there? An air conditioner?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it
Well, you
does.
haven't been charged already, so we'll make that.
Oh, they charge you for,
We haven't.
you gotta pay for your air and you pay for your air. That's kind of amazing.
Yes, it is.
You wonder why
pay for
people, I'm
everything.
gonna go to that homestead rescue guy and I'm gonna go live off grid somewhere. I think that's looking better all the time.
Great American.
So,
Thanks, Luann.
thank you so much.
Now we're looking for Elsie Kissick.
Somebody else had that.
She's not coming.
This
Elsie
lady
is
is
not
not
coming?
coming today. She's protesting the 2% increase in her value.
Okay, can we go ahead, is Renke out there?
Yes, we certainly can.
Let's do him if he's waiting.
Yeah, I'll send that to you.
Stephen?
Thank you so much.
Stephen Renke, I assume,
Frankie?
Renke?
Go ahead.
Have a good day.
Must be getting tired.
You know where that is.
This will be a nice one tonight.
Come on up to, yeah, come on up.
You pull an extra chair if you
If
wish.
you wanna join him, you sure
I'll
can.
just stay right here.
Okay. Steve, can I say Steve?
Yes.
Is that fine? What we'll do is we'll have Kelly swear you in here.
Your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you. Ann will give us her side, and then we'll let you talk, and then the board will take it from there. Thank you.
Ms. Frankie lives in a house that's in Lot 1, Foldsmer subdivision, which is part of Carriage Estate, or Yorktown Estates. The property was purchased in 2019 for $245,000. It is 2,380 square feet with an attached garage, and there is a separate detached garage of 600 square feet. House has a full basement. He is talking about the Mahoney House property, which is directly beside him to the west. The Mahoney House was purchased by York College in '21. The building has been revamped for a storage dormitory living for students. And they have done a lot of cement work and put in a large parking area and opened up the property to open up onto area are selling well. They're close to the York School, they're close to the park, they're selling from $350,000 plus. So Mr. Renke has some problems with Mahoney House, and I'll let him explain that.
So my complaint probably is more to the city of York, but I've been unsuccessful with getting any remediation there. I've talked with the director of Public Works, and even the mayor, had him over there. He agrees with me, but nothing's happened. So my thought to you is I moved into a cul-de-sac thinking I like that area. I understand there are problems with cul-de-sacs. I went around and looked at others, but nobody has the problem I do. So after 3 years, like Ann had said, that it was sold to the York College, they opened up the street. So instead of me living on a cul-de-sac, now I live on a through street with a 75-car parking lot.
And then the entrance, so that's coming by your place heading west
Right.
into that parking lot?
Yes.
Is that way it's?
And so that is the only entrance into that into the north parking lot.
Oh, they can't come in off of 12th Street?
They can't get in there from 12th.
Yep. Yeah, they can. They can
It's
get
two
into the
separate-
parking lot off of 12th Street, and get into the parking lot off of 10th Street. I drove through there.
They can get off of 10th Street. I live on 11th Street.
Yes, you live in the middle.
Yes.
Yes.
They can't get into that parking lot from 12th Street.
It's two separate parking lots?
Right.
Okay.
They can-
I know I've seen the concrete up there, but
Mahoney House parking lot in front to the north. Then there's grass and whatever, then there's the new parking lot that they
have to
put
pay
in.
attention.
They're
I
not
asked-
connected.
I asked the city about the parking lot, who put in the parking lot, who opened up the streets. And he said that the college put in the parking lot and opened the streets by permit, and that Jensen Lumber did the cement work.
Okay,
So it all belongs to the college.
okay. So I would assume by what I'm seeing here, you feel that opening up that street has devalued your property?
Yes.
By close to $100,000?
Yes.
Okay,
And that may be exorbitant, but I wanted to get the city's attention. That's why I made that so great.
okay, all right. Do you have anything else to add to that, other than, when you said you talked to the mayor, but, I mean, it's an open street, did they give you an opportunity to protest that at that time, or
No,
anything like that?
no.
It was just done? Okay.
So it appreciates, it warrants a visit from all of you, that we'd like to go out there and take a look. I feel none of the cement sidewalks or anything are either even handicapped accessible like the rest of the city of York does. To my way of thinking, I don't think they qualify that way, but the main thing is the people in that north parking lot. The college has there's been at the most 12 cars there. They moved people in at Christmas time and then until school got out this spring. But of those 12 cars, 3 of them were low enough to the ground that they couldn't get over that hill going to 10th Street to get out. So they'd come around my corner, and these were, I don't know, they wanted to drive fast, I guess, but they were doing 30 mile an hour. So I'd at least like speed bumps at that cul-de-sac. And I know the director of Public Works told me that all they did is cut in 2 driveways into that cul-de-sac. But to me, this is a unique enough situation that they, I don't know, it looked to me like there should be a little bit more consideration, even by the college. If I would have had a 30 or 40 foot green space between the cement and my house, I wouldn't have minded that so much either. But there was never any discussion. It was
Okay.
slam bang. So I
Well,
appreciate your.
I'll pay more attention as I drive by it tonight to
Okay,
go to the
that-
complex. I've seen the concrete up there, but I didn't realize that
And
you couldn't,
I went in the cul-de-sac and went out on 10th Street. I presumed that it went the other way too. I didn't know that they didn't open it up.
So it affects Bob Hanson, kind of the same way I do, except that empty lot that he has doesn't have any house on it. So it's, he doesn't get traffic by his side yard.
Okay.
I appreciate your time.
Excuse me,
Thank
can I ask
very
you a
much.
question before you?
Yeah.
Who was the city administrator when that was done?
The first one I talked to was James Paul. I think that's his name. And he was,
Public Works
he
Director.
was
Public
only
Works
here for a
Director.
week or two before I contacted him.
But who was the city administrator is what I asked, not the public.
Oh, I'm
Works.
sorry.
Oh,
No, I don't know that.
when that
Was
whole,
it Joe Fry or was it?
Was it Joe Fry?
I don't know.
I'd say probably
Yeah.
about that time.
When they changed the configuration of that street, they didn't notify them? That's wrong.
No,
No,
no one
They
came and
should have
talked
had
to us,
the
nothing.
opportunity to object to
This
that.
green space apartment lot.
But that would be with the city.
yeah.
Right, not with us.
Obviously.
His house.
But I agree with you.
I asked too if there had been a hearing, and Mr. Audi replied no.
I appreciate your time.
Very good.
Thank you, thank you. I understand where you're coming from on that
Thank
one.
you.
I'm sorry, Bill.
There again, I guess, like, Steve's request, I wouldn't mind looking at it.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate
I would
that.
invite all of you to come.
And if you come knock on the door, I'll promise to have a cold beer.
I knocked twice then.
Be there tonight.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Looking at aerial maps, there's nothing updated on,
No,
to
not
show
gonna
what
be.
they're describing, so. it's
But
hard to-
there is a pretty good, a pretty good slope to get up to get into the parking lot.
So if it was slick.
From
it
the
probably-
front, from 12th Street, right? Going up into the
No,
parking
from
lot.
the cul-de-sac. You have to go up, and from coming off 10th Street, you gotta go down.
10th Street, yeah, from the east.
12th Street, there's no
He said, there-
entrance
and
into those.
I guess I presumed that there was an opening on 12th
No,
Street.
There,
So
there is
then-
there is to a parking lot, the existing parking
Yes,
lot,
right.
in front of the building.
Right.
But they'd had to build something.
I
along
wonder
the
if they
side.
don't have it complete yet, that it isn't full.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. But are we going to do anything with Mr. Renke's value?
That would be the question, is it true, did it truly devalue the place $100,000?
No.
Well,
If they bought it because they wanted to be on a cul-de-sac with less traffic, it did make a big difference.
There, yes. But I would think the property, the area is full of houses that are Blue Valley houses. Houses that have been moved in and low income. Mr. Ranke's house is a modular that was moved in, a story and a half modular moved in, and then this other garage was built, and they had to buy the lot to put the garage on, so when they did that, then the city required them to replat. That's why it's Folger's instead of
Okay,
whatever, Yorktown Estates. So the property is, it's a nice home. And he paid a good price for it, sight unseen. Neither here nor there, but he did buy it as a cul-de-sac. But a lot of properties are diminishing value for living in a cul-de-sac. So you see, there's both sides to
Right.
the story. Here again, willing buyer, willing seller. What has happened is too bad, and I'm with Mr. Sykes. I don't understand why there wasn't a public hearing for the opening of the road.
I guess I'm feeling that too. He purposely said he made these numbers exorbitant
To get your attention.
to get your
get the
attention.
city's attention.
Huh?
Get the
Right.
city's
Attention.
attention.
But it's also large. It's basically the same. I guess.
It's everyone's value.
I don't feel good with that. I don't think that's right.
Well, and you could argue that there's been increased, there's probably been increased traffic in that neighborhood anyways, since those ballparks went in on weekend, you know what I'm saying? So, but has that affected
But he
the
says there's only
value?
12 cars parked in
Well,
it.
that's just it, like, has the value gone down out there? I'd say
No.
probably not,
No.
because they're
No.
building new out there, and
Yes.
like the elementary
Uh-huh.
school's right there, and so.
Mr. Bukaski's house that he just moved is being sold as we speak, and I would be curious to know how much he's getting for it.
It's like this issue is more with the city of York than it is the York County of York.
Mr. Audi says he's present a lot of times.
Well, it's good. Gotta be there.
Any feelings?
I feel
on this
bad
one?
for him. One of
Mr. Chairman, I just make a motion to go ahead with the recommendation of the county assessor and the evaluation of 222,275 as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jack.
this sales price was $245, right?
I could tell you stories about Joe Friday.
Any discussion? Not about Joe, any discussion, not about Joe Fry, but about something else? Roll call.
Clousberg,
Yes.
Sykes,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
Holgren,
Yes.
and Ormark.
Yes. Okay, the last one. Elsie.
Elsie
P.
Kissick Hall, 321 Northeast Avenue, York, Nebraska. She's asking for the property to be returned to the previous value of $43,660, and the valuation is only the 2% increase that was mandated and given to everyone. So I would recommend no change.
I think Bill should have her email address.
I should.
Yeah, did you see it?
Yeah, that's right. You got it.
Honey Bear?
Yeah.
Okay,
Honey Bear.
what do we have?
And there, like you said, there was no
The 2%.
comparisons
She
or anything that
doesn't, no,
was
she doesn't
submitted.
give any comparables or anything, or any reason other
Right.
than she just thinks the value should go back.
Sure.
You know, I'm looking at.
We all do.
Right.
Make a recommendation, we go with the county assessors raise and leave it there.
Second.
Thank you, guys. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Sykes,
Yes.
Clousberg,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
Holgren,
Yes.
Ormark.
Yes.
Remember that next year.
Question. You want me to try to write Troy Ellison and ask for paperwork on the contamination?
He reached out to me. If you don't mind, I'll reach right back out to you.
Okay, that's great.
I'll take care of that one.
I
You will,
I will give everybody copies of the information that Mrs. Lehman produced for me.
and then you will inform them
Yeah.
when we decide when we're
Right.
gonna meet the next
Right.
time.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's it. Okay,
Okay, you have anything else for
No.
today?
nope.
Anybody else? We're adjourned.
Are you guys getting questions